All right, everybody, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive? Today, we're tackling something that's blowing up right now, AI art generators.
Yeah, it's everywhere you look these days.
Seriously, it's kind of hard to miss. But, with all the hype, it can be tough to sort out what's real and well, just noise.
Definitely.
So that's our mission today. We're going to figure out how this AI art stuff actually works. Like, can it really make art? What can we do with it? And hey, maybe we'll even get some of those creative juices flowing, right?
Absolutely. And I think there's an even bigger question here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, is this just a fun new tool, or does it actually change how we think about art, about creativity, about artists themselves? I mean, it's a big deal.
Totally. So let's jump in. One of the sources we've got is this article called 7 Best AI Art Generators.
Catchy title.
Right. And it lays out some really interesting stuff. Like, it makes it clear these AI art generators, they're using algorithms to create art. But it's not just random pixels or whatever.
No, it's way more sophisticated than that.
Exactly. These algorithms, they're trained on, like, mountains of data, tons of existing artwork.
So they're basically learning, right? Learning different styles, different techniques, all from this massive visual library.
Yeah, it's like giving the algorithm a super intense art history crash course, and then it uses all that knowledge to make something new.
Exactly. It's wild.
So this article, it highlights a bunch of benefits for people using these AI art generators. One that caught my eye was this idea of AI being a creativity boost.
Yeah, how does that work?
Well, think about it. Imagine you have an idea, right? But now you have this tool that can instantly generate a ton of variations of that idea in different styles, maybe mash up different concepts, stuff you might never have thought of on your own.
Ah, so it's not just giving you ideas, it's like expanding on them, taking them in directions you wouldn't expect.
Precisely. And then there's the whole time-saving aspect. Like, think about a graphic designer who needs, I don't know, 10 different versions of a logo.
Oh, yeah, or an illustrator working on a children's book.
Right. So many characters, so many details. AI could handle those repetitive tasks. Let the human artist focus on the big picture stuff, the emotion, the storytelling.
Yeah, it frees them up to be more creative, which is kind of ironic.
Totally. It's like having a superpowered assistant. Which, by the way, brings us to the budget-friendly angle. This is huge for people starting out. Maybe they can't afford to hire a professional artist for everything.
This is where AI art generators really open doors.
Yeah, it becomes a way to get your ideas out there, create visuals for projects without breaking the bank. And that's pretty cool.
It is, but, it also makes you think, if it becomes so easy and affordable to create art, what happens to the value of art? What about the artists who depend on this for a living?
Those are some big questions for sure. And speaking of big questions, let's get into some specific AI art generators because some of these are straight up mind-blowing. Like, have you ever checked out Deep Dream Generator?
I've heard of it, but haven't had a chance to play around with it yet.
It's wild. It uses this thing called a neural network, which basically mimics how the human brain works to analyze and interpret images. And with Deep Dream, it uses that network to create these incredibly detailed, often abstract images.
Wow, so it's almost like you're seeing the world through the eyes of a machine, right?
Right, or like tapping into its subconscious. It's kind of trippy, honestly. And get this, you sign up, you get 100 free uses.
Wow. Okay, I gotta check that out.
You totally should. But then there's DALL-E. This one's created by OpenAI, the same folks behind ChatGPT.
Ah, yeah, I've heard about this one.
It's insane. You literally type in a description, like anything, and it creates an image based on your words, like a cat riding a unicorn on the moon. Boom, there's your picture.
It sounds like magic, but what's really interesting is that DALL-E has an API.
Okay, for our non-techie listeners, what does that mean?
Basically, it means developers can integrate DALL-E into other applications. Think about it. Video games where the environments are generated in real time based on what you do in the game. Or a website that creates custom visuals for each user.
Whoa, that's next level.
The possibilities are pretty mind-boggling.
Totally. And then there's MidJourney, which takes this whole dreamlike abstract thing even further. And it's free to use, but you interact with it through their Discord server, so it's this cool blend of art and community. But, listening to all this, I have to ask, if anyone can create art with a few clicks, what does that mean for professional artists?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It's a big one. Does their work become less valuable?
It's a tough one. On one hand, you could argue that AI art might devalue human creativity, especially if we just end up with a flood of generic, mass-produced pieces.
I can see that.
But on the other hand, it could push human artists to evolve, to focus on what makes their work uniquely human, the emotions, the stories, the personal experiences that AI just can't replicate, at least not yet.
And maybe it could even become a collaboration, right? Like AI is a tool that expands human expression. It's exciting and scary at the same time.
It really is.
I'm already picturing these future art galleries filled with AI-generated landscapes and portraits. But will we connect with those pieces the same way we do with, say, a painting that someone poured their heart and soul into?
It's tough to say. I think that's what we'll need to figure out as a society. What does it mean for art to move us, to make us feel something? Does it matter if a human hand never touched the canvas, if the final result speaks to our soul?
Whoa. Okay, my head is officially spinning, but in a good way.
I know, right? It's such a fascinating topic, and there are so many questions that we don't have the answers to yet. It really makes you think.
No kidding, it's like a whole new world is opening up.
Exactly. I think the real question now is this. If AI can create art that's technically brilliant, how do we ensure that it also has something meaningful to say? How do we use this technology to uplift us, to elevate the human spirit rather than diminish it?
Wow, that's a powerful thought. Definitely something to ponder as we move forward into this brave new world of AI art. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everybody. Until next time, keep those creative sparks flying.
See you next time. MCEU.